Good evening, every pony, and welcome to Gaming is Magic. As always, this is Drata Arcana here. Welcome back to another stream. And tonight, we have an interesting topic. Once again, related to deck building, because I like decks. Who doesn't like decks? I like decks. Well, actually, I don't like decks. I really don't. They make me cry. When they don't work, they make me cry. I think they make all of us cry when they don't work. And speaking of getting a deck to work, there's nothing harder than getting a color in your deck that is not related to even your hereditary color. Let me explain that real quick. So, there are three terms that I will be referring to on occasion throughout this stream. And they are primary color, secondary color, and hereditary color, meaning your third color. But what we're actually talking about tonight is a color that is none of those three. We're talking about splashing. We're going to make a splash. We're going to go into the pool and do a dip and dash. And we're going to go swimming and hopefully not get dragged down into a drain of water and not be able to breathe until Skystar saves us. I'll let you guys ponder that reference for a second. Anyways, but we won't be entering just a regular old pool. We're entering into the world of rainbow pools. So, one of the things that, you know, when you're thinking about color combinations, sometimes you could just do this. And you're just so frustrated. Frustration. Get it out. You love it. And colors are frustrating sometimes. Especially when you want to go into your splashed color. Like main 6 party planners. But you don't have a card to color fix. Oh no, you can't color fix. So that means you can't play that card you played. And I've seen it time and time again. People build a deck, they get into the game, they're going to splash into this color. All of a sudden, they can't color fix for that color. Whatever do you do in that scenario? Well, it's not an uncommon scenario. And how do you go from looking like this to doing this? Yes, Luna is you're going to dance like Luna all night long because your color splashing has just changed the tables. I just did a lot of color splashing not too long ago myself. Singing barrel into main 6, party planners into party hard. Yeah, go for it. And then I makeovered on my main 6 to win the game. Yeah. Splashing colors. That's all what it's all about. I did a little dance. I was dreaming all night that I was splashing colors and everything. And yeah, so when it works, you're going to be like Luna, dancing here all night long. And then when it doesn't work, you're Twilight being frustrated at every tiny little thing. So there's actually a couple different types of splashing, and we're going to go over some of them. We're also going to go over some cards that are what you're going to use to splash into your colors and kind of how to really work around your deck so you can splash your colors and make sure that you're doing the dance, not the frustration and anger that Twilight feels on a regular basis. As I hug my Twilight plushie is in my arms tonight. Don't know why, but I'm petting her as you can't see it, but I'm doing it. Anyways, True story. But when you're considering splashing colors, you need to decide between these two types of splashing. You get a bucket of water dumped on top of you, and your poor Twilight getting wet, and you're not really making that big of a puddle, and you're just doing like getting wet and trying not to do splashing. I'm going to call this subtle splashing. This is where you're color fixing into a card to change the game, but it's not something that is going to impact it, but it's just nice to have when you color splash into it. This isn't like, we're going to go ahead and have things that we're not looking at things that are going to sorry, I lost my train of thought. You're looking at cards that might help, but they're not mandatory to counter something. And you're splashing to assist your deck rather than doing this. Kaboom! And that is called a sorry, I had messed up on my audio here, so you might hear my voice a little louder than usual. I'm going to try to change that as we go. I apologize ahead of time if my voice sounds a little higher than normal. So in this scenario, you're splashing into a color to completely impact the game. It's an obvious color splashing to where you're color splashing to make a bigger impact, versus color splashing to make a smaller impact that may not be noticeable right away. So those are the two styles of color splashing in my opinion. Now remember, a lot of this is deck building is my opinion. There are far more knowledgeable people out there than me, but definitely these are the two types of impacts you're usually looking for in a game when you color splash in a deck. Having a card where it's more subtle to get a subtle effect. So an example of color splashing for a big impact is, you're trying to influence the entire game. Like my earlier example, main 6, party hard, color fixing into that to main 6 to plan hard, to impact the board state, destroy the board state, and destroy is a little strong word, but it's basically what it does, to remove the board state and your opponent's hand while drawing cards. That is a combination that really does work. And that's an example of a big rainbow. You're color splashing to cause this giant impact versus something like this, which is I color fix into this color to do a certain thing that's not going to impact the game, but it's rather to include a mechanic. Now that can be resource removal. That could be putting something into white. You splash in white to return cards to your hand, or you're doing it for recursion, or you're splashing into orange maybe to assist with milling, or you're splashing in the purple to allow for some control features. So let's go back a sec, and now that we discussed that, let's go over what splashing actually is. Splashing is where you're using a color of a card, but you're not running enough of that color for your deck to be considered that color. Example, you're running blue, pink. You got blue, pink throughout your deck. And then you put in Singing Barrel just so you could play Special Beam Cannon. And you're only running 3 Special Beam Cannons. That's splashing. That is what splashing is. You're running a certain number of cards that are that color, but not enough for your deck to actually be considered that color. And that's what splashing is. You're going into a color that can't even be considered a third color because you're running too minimal amounts of that card, or that you're running too little of that color for it to impact the gameplay. So, maybe not gameplay is the right word, but you're doing it to where you could be running blue-pink as your primary and secondary, and then you splash in purple, or you splash in blue, or no, you splash in yellow, so you can get Brian for resource removal. So you're not really running that color. If you're running, I would say if you're running a total of 9 cards that have a single color or a part of your multicolor, you're not splashing at that point. Let me be specific. If you're running a deck and you got 9 different cards, now that can be that you're running 3 copies of 3 cards, that is 9, that have that color, you are no longer splashing for that color. It's okay, it would be considered splashing if you're running 2 or 6 in this regard. But the moment you get over 6, I don't consider it splashing at that point. At that point, it's a hereditary color, that third color. It might not be your primary focus, but it is still part of your deck. Splashing has to be fewer than that. Fewer than 3 copies, or fewer than 3 cards of that color. And that's actual splashing. So, when deck building, how do you splash? Well, that's an excellent question. And boy, is Drada smart. I mean, seriously, I'm practically a genius. I never thought that I was this intelligent. I mean, seriously. Wow. I'm just marveling in my essence of intelligentness. And it's ingenious. Because the most ingenious thing to ever do when you're going for a pool are these 2 cards. It's ingenious. Maybe it's ingenious. Who knows? I could just be a mad scientist for all you people know. Wah, ha, ha, ha. I'm actually an evil Twilight. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know what is what, and we really don't know. But these 2 cards are almost mandatory in any splashing deck. Or a hereditary color deck. You don't need both of them if you're just doing dual colors. Their dual color decks tend to be more consistent, but if you want to splash, Singing Barrel over Motivational Speech. Every time I splash a color, I'm either going to run 2 Singing Barrel or 2 Singing Barrel, 3 Motivational Speech for that splash. Yeah, so ingenious. These cards you have to run. Well, you don't have to. You can splash any way you want. You could splash with a Kevin. You could splash with a Smooze, I guess. You could splash with the main 6 Traveler. No non-color. I mean, yeah, you could do that. You could try to splash with a couple copies of Loyal Pony if you're not running blue, but you want to splash into blue. I guess you could do that. It's just harder because the moment that you get past that 9 threshold, you're no longer splashing. Now, when you're splashing, these don't count towards your splashings. Splashing has to have a color, and these are non-color. So they don't count towards my 9 limit, which is why they're great. So, but they're color fixers. Now, you might be asking, Drada, all they do is change the color of my main. What happens if my main's only 1 power? Well, no, my main's only 3 power. That means I can only get 3 color rec at any given time in the game. That's useless. There's no cards in the game with 3 color rec. Oh my gosh. There's no game. Don't be that guy. Practically all the best cards to splash into have 3 color rec. Wahaha. Contradiction, dear sir. Spike, Master of Ceremonies, is 4 color rec. And he eats things. I don't care about Spike. Main 6 party planners too is 4 pink color rec. Uh-oh. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I can't color splash at the main 6 party planners. I can't color splash into it. Yes, you can. I tried to make these as dramatic as possible, but yes, you can splash into a 4 power, provided that your main character is 4 power, which is really easy to do with AJ, Ambassador of Honesty, which is why main 6 party planners gets ran in my farming deck. Oh no, I said the taboo word. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. I didn't want, I have to go into a corner now. I'm sorry, guys. That's it for the stream tonight. No, it's not. Don't leave. We're not done. You have lots to learn, young ponies. Young fillies. You have lots to learn about the power of the different colors of cupcakes. Cupcakes. But I just see a speech in a singing barrel. By the way, have I ever said that on Singing Barrel, Fluttershy just looks absolutely adorable in that barrel? I mean, seriously. That is just adorable. And Rarity in that picture, it's I have to pick up my Twilight Sparkle now and hug it. I have to hug it. I'm hugging it. You can't see it, but it's adorable. I mean, seriously. I love it. I love adorable cards like that. Anyways, moving on from the insanity that is Drada tonight. I apologize for all the insanity, but moving on to I didn't want to get to that yet. Sorry about that, folks. Let's get back here. Okay. So going back to the small splash, the subtle splash. So what's an example of subtle splashes? Well, there's a good card in Harmony that sometimes you want to splash into. And if I can find it here real quick. Yeah, here it is. Study Session. You splash in the purple to add in some measure of control. Well, what's more fun than splashing for Study Session? I mean, seriously, it costs 2 purple rec, which means it's splashable by your main character at an underlock and tree. For 3 AT, you could color, well, for 5 AT, you can play a Study Session via color splashing. Now, it might not all be on the same turn, but it will cost you a total of 5 AT minimum, because you got to pay 2 to move your character, And then you got to pay one to play either the singing barrel or motivational speech, and then you play the study session. And I will tell you, this hurts when you color splash into this. And once again, my audio. Let me fix my audio real quick, folks. Okay, so study session is a great example of a card that is a subtle splash. You're not really trying to change the game with it. You're not trying to impact on a large scale. You're trying to subtly impact the game. It's part of your strategy, but it's not necessary to victory. It's not a big play. It's not game changing or anything. It's a subtle addition. You wanted some control, so you decided to include study session, but you didn't want to run purple, but you wanted to have a measure of control during the game. This is an example of subtle splashing. And you're splashing into this card just to add a second layer of control or trying to get things back under control. It's not a big kaboom. Versus something like this. Best princesses. I'm done. Best princesses in the entire world. It's official. Drada has declared Princess Luna and Princess Celestia are best princesses. Live with it. These are the two best princesses ever. Patented and confirmed by Drada Arcana. But you know what? Secretly, they're not princesses. They're changelings. Because we established last stream that everything is a changeling. Patented and confirmed by Drada Arcana. It's official. Everything's a changeling. Even these. Did you know that the pillow you decided to sleep on tonight was actually a changeling? Of course you didn't. Of course you didn't know that. But anyways, back on topic. This is an example of splashing into a color to make a big impact. You might be saying, but wait, Drada, there's 3 colors there. Why on earth would I run a 3-color card? Why indeed? I do it all the time. I love Scary Luna. It's official, by the way. The actual term for Princess Luna Midnight is Scary Luna. Hithrock was the one that came up with the name, and I agree with it. It's Scary Luna. That's going to be her nickname. Whenever I refer to Midnight Luna, I'm calling her Scary Luna. Now, I ran a deck in the last core constructed by Commentarious Magic, a Sweetie Belle resource removal deck. It went 2-1 against aggro because I was splashing for Princess Luna Midnight. Princess Luna Midnight is a great card to splash into. You don't have to run all 3 of those colors. You just need Singing Barrel and Motivational Speeches to allow you to color fix into her. The deck I was running was actually white-pink. It didn't use purple-orange at all. The only card in the deck that had purple and orange was this Luna. And you might be saying, but Drada, why would you run 4 colors? Well, Princess Luna has a big impact on the game. First off, she's stubborn, which means she can confront almost on her own about 70% of the time. You exhaust this card to frighten a friend. That's a free frighten every turn. And then opponents can't move characters unless they pay 1. That is game changing. This is an example of you performing a rain boom. You're color splashing to cause a big explosion, a big change in gameplay, trying to impact the field. You're trying to cause as big of an explosion as you possibly can. While Princess Celestia High Noon is the same thing. She's swift. She costs 2 less if you control more friends. And she's practically game-changing on her own. If any card would be dismissed or frightened, you could put it back into your hand, which is great because it basically prevents things from going to the discard, helping with that recursion. So your opponent's like, well, I'm going to belly flop this. And you could be like, well, you could belly flop it. I'm just going to put it back in my hand. And I'll play it all over again. That's exactly what High Noon does. These are 2 very game-changing cards that you would splash into. You're not going to... I mean, High Noon is less easy to splash than Midnight Luna, actually. I know that sounds weird with the AT cost dropping on Princess Celestia, but Luna is just more impactful than High Noon. By the way, these are both URs from Sequester and Beyond, and they're going to be hard to come by. So you might have to find someone who's willing to sell either their Lunas. I mean, granted, I would be willing to give out a single High Noon right now because I have so many of them. And I don't know what to do with them because I can't really build a deck around them because the deck is good, but it's not phenomenal. But Midnight Lunas, if you can get your hands on 3 Midnight Lunas, good on ya. I'm happy for you because you've done something that took me a long time to accomplish. But anyways, Midnight Luna and High Noon are 2 examples of splashing to cause massive impact by splashing into a color or 2. So sometimes you don't want to run Singing Barrel or Motivational Speech. Sometimes you want to color splash into another color, but you need a more effective way to do that. And 2 examples of that are Makeover and Changeling Citizens. So let's say your main character, you can't get it flipped for whatever reason, and you're like, man, I got 4 colors in my hand right now that I want to splash into. I can't seem to pull that off. Where are my Singing Barrels? Where are my motivational speeches? I'm crying. I can't take it anymore. Here's your response. So, everyone's going to be like, but what about main 6 party planners? Huh? Main 6 party planners? Or Spike, Master of Ceremonies. They're not 3 power. Your main's only 3 power, unless it's AJ. And before anyone says anything, I know there are 2 AJ cards. We only, here at Gaming is Magic, we really just recognize 1. It's totally not tooled up. Hint, hint, it's actually Ambassador of Honesty. That's the only one that's game-changing. I mean, seriously, you want to buy some apples? Come on, you know you want apples, huh? What was that? You wanted to buy some apples? Yeah, I thought you wanted to buy some apples. Anyways, Makeover is a great way to color fix with a friend rather than your main character. And Changeling Citizens is a great color entry card. Probably one of the best for any time that you're splashing into like 5 colors. Because Changeling Citizens, we talked about it last stream, about which was on low power versus high power. This is a card where now we're going to talk about its color entry ability. And when it comes into play, it can be any power equal to the number of characters you control other than itself. So, but its main ability is when it enters play, declare a color. This could be any color. You can color splash with this card. You can get into the colors you needed with it. it's a little expensive, but it does double up as a solo confront card. Makeover is great when you want to play an event and you want to target something that's not your main character. 90% of the time, you're probably not going to color fix a friend, but you're going to color fix your main, which usually has 3 power, which means that when you're color splashing, it's much easier to go something with a 3 color rec versus 4. We'll get more into that later. But Makeover and Changeling Citizens are 2 color fixing cards that are just as good, or I shouldn't say just as good, but they are effective enough to be impactful enough into your color splashing. It's just Singing Barrel and Motivational Speech are going to be your go-tos. If you don't want to run Singing Barrel or Motivational Speech, this is an alternative. But I will say that Motivational Speech and Singing Barrel are much, much better. Now, I've stood here and talked about cards, the impacts of cards, the effectiveness of cards, color fixing this, color fixing that, color fixing whatever. Color fix for days. Remember, you're changelings. So you're never one color. You're never one pony. You're every pony, yet no pony. Oh! And that's officially patented and reserved and copyrighted by Drana Arcana. You are... Oh man. I wanted to copyright that, but I forgot the quote. Oh no, Drada, you're losing your touch here. Probably what I'm thinking. You never know what will happen when Drada Arcana is talking about colors. Because everyone's a changeling, yet no one's a changeling. Ooh, that is deep. Or was it? You know what? Forget it. Everyone's a changeling. We're all impacted by Queen Chrysalis. We're I don't know where I was going with that meme, but whatever. By the way, Twilight, that hairdo is ridiculous. That hairdo is ridiculous. I love that episode of the show because that hairdo is great. It's I'm sorry, guys. I love that hairdo, and her reaction, her question to Spike in that episode. How do I look? Spike rolling his eyes, looking at her hair, freaking out, is like, great. More importantly, how does the castle look? Great. That whole scene, it's so funny. I'm sorry, guys. Her hair in that makeover card, priceless. That's priceless. And it's the best card art for a color fixing card. And look at that face. It just I'm getting off track. Just another night with Drana Arcana. Randomness. So, anyways, and once again, why on Changeling Citizens is there a baby thorax right there? I mean, seriously, if you remember from last stream, there's like a baby thorax that's like on the left side of the card, second to the farthest in the back on the left. It's the one literally where its head is like at the 3 cross mark. That looks exactly like a baby thorax. I mean, seriously, it looks just like him. It's the same color scheme. It's the same eyes. It drives me insane that is there. Anyways, they're all traitors to the hive anyways. At least in the viewpoints of Chrysalis. Which last episode was very interesting. Anyways, moving on, avoiding spoilers as much as possible about anything in the show. Let's talk about this slide. So what are we looking at? Well, remember how I mentioned that there's good color splashing and bad color splashing? Here's an example of how to actually color splash. So remember how I showed you guys this? You got Princess Luna Midnight, and then you have the cards Singing Barrel and Motivational Speech. You know how I talked about, color splashing or whatever? Well, this whole thing is talking about color splashing. I don't know what I'm going on about. But here's a neat combo that you could do with Midnight Luna. I got 7 cards in hand. Midnight Luna's in my hand, Singing Barrel's in my hand, and Redeeming Qualities is in my hand. Well, I have an idea. I want to get Luna out. But I don't want to play her this turn. I want to play her next turn. 5 AT's a lot, and it's +2. But wait, I have this card. Redeeming Qualities. Ooh, what can I do with that? It's a Temerary color, or it's a splashed color in my deck. Only Luna and Redeeming Qualities run white. Why did I include this? I know. I pay 2. I spend an AT to draw a card. My hand is now 8. Pay an AT, draw a card. My hand is now 9. End the turn. Discard Luna for hand limit. Now, why would you do that? That's a powerful card. Well, next turn, my main, let's say, is pink. Just because it's Skystar. I mean, come on. So next turn, I'm like, alright, I'm going to play Luna this turn. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop Singing Barrel to declare the color white. I just splashed a color. I play Redeeming Qualities for 3 AT at 3 color rec, because my main character is now white. It has 3 white power. Now I put Scary Luna into play. Oh, that is color splashing right there. You're technically splashing into 4 colors, but you only had to splash into 1 for 4 AT. Not a bad move, I would have to say. And you have a card now in play that is impacting the entire field on your opponent's side. And they have to find a way to get rid of that friend ASAP. And sometimes that's not easy to do. So, Redeeming Qualities. Great card to splash for color because it's 3 color rec. That's a phenomenal deal. 3 color rec. I can splash that easy. When you're splashing colors, always make sure that it's 3 or less color rec. Now you might be saying, but Drada, I want to splash for a 4 color rec. Don't do it. Don't play Method Mares. When you're splashing into white, do not splash for a 4 color rec card. I only do it in my farming deck. Taboo word. For gaming is magic. Farming does not exist in our rulebook. Seriously. I run farming, but it's tier 0. We don't talk about it. But 4 color rec is going to be too high to splash into. So when you're considering cards for splashing into colors, keep in mind the color rec of the card you're splashing. That card has to, on its own, serve a purpose. It has to be there for a purpose. If you put it in your deck to not have a purpose, where it's just an extra card in hand, then you're not splashing correctly. You splash into a color that is not used by your deck to cover the weakness of your deck. Every deck's got a weakness. Sweetie Belle's resource control, its weakness is aggro. It has a hard time against aggro. But by putting Midnight Luna into the deck, all of a sudden I can control aggro's flow. I can control their aggro deck because I'm basically able to frighten twice a turn. I'm able to tax their movements to the point where they have to pay one extra. Otherwise, they can't move a character. Now, that is harmful. And I apologize this entire time. I've been kind of loud. Let me fix that real quick, guys. Splashing into a color, you have to make sure that that card is going to be impactful or it has a purpose. Redeeming qualities would be a subtle splash. You're pretty much just getting soaked with this bucket of water. While Midnight Luna is a sonic boom, a rainbow, I'm forgetting my memes tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Or it's a rainbow. Midnight Luna is a rainbow. It's impactful, it's loud, it's scary. Ha, ha. Did you see what I did there? Of course you didn't. You totally don't get what I did. It's loud, it makes a boom, and it's scary. I just described Princess Luna using her royal Canterlot voice. I am your princess! I demand fun! Oh, I can only laugh at my pitiful self. You know, I wonder what would happen if Twilight Sparkle adapted the royal Canterlot voice. Oh man, things would hit the fan real quick. Anyways, so a lot of things to keep in mind when you're splashing for colors. If I splash into this color for this specific card, how is that card going to cover my weakness? What's this card going to do that, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do without that color? There's a lot of good things about splashing for a single color, and you need to decide when deck building what's the best cards to splash. I've only listed a couple here. As usual, I'm not going to list every single card in the game to splash. That is ridiculous. That's a long list of good cards out there. But keep in mind that when splashing colors, that you make sure that everything is going to be impactful enough during gameplay. And you want to make sure that if you're splashing, you're either doing it subtly or to make a big play. So your subtle splashings are really there to assist in covering up some weakness, while splashing for, you know, that scary Luna is meant to counter a specific deck. And that's really what I'm talking about between the two difference between subtle splashing and big splashing, is you're trying to, a subtle splash is anything covering any weakness in the deck. Big splashing, where you're splashing to counter a specific deck. And sometimes splashing to counter a specific deck is actually the way to go over subtle splashing. While subtle splashing can sometimes be more impactful than making a big splash. So you always want to make sure that you're careful about how you're splashing your colors. That is key. And that's the important thing about color splashing. What am I going to get out of splashing this color? Sometimes I've seen it where people are like, well, I don't want to splash into a color. I mean, that's your choice if you don't want to. But investigate it always when building a deck. So many people are stuck on that two-color combination or monocolor and stuff. Or they're playing monocolor and they're just like, well, I don't want to splash into a color. Well, just because you don't want to doesn't mean that you shouldn't ignore it. I splash into colors all the time because there are combinations out there in cards, and there's infinite numbers of them. I guess infinite's the wrong word, but there's a lot to be explored. I recommend always splashing because it will help you encountering either specific decks or making certain plays or enhancing opportunities. Because what you don't want to do is to get into a game and realize that had you played a specific splashed card, like Special Beam Cannon, like you come up against Sweetie Belle and you're like, oh, I wish I had purple in my deck. You could have ran purple. You just would have had the color fix for it. I'm going to say this also on a note of color splashing. When building your deck, if you want to effectively color splash, there are going to be, I think it's like 2 or 3 requirements. And these are going to be the Drata Arcana's splashing requirement. 1. A 1-drop card that color fixes your main character. That's step 1. It is mandatory you have that when splashing. 2. The card you are color splashing for cannot be higher than 3 color rec. It must have a 3 color rec or less in order to effectively color splash. That's number 2. That is the number 2 requirement when deck building. Number 3, to effectively color splash the card, only run that card and 3 copies of it. Or even 2 copies of it. Between 2 to 3 copies of that card. Do not run any more of that color. And you might be saying, but Drata, you said earlier on that I could have 9 color, or it wouldn't be color splashing at 9 cards. Yes, I did say that. But remember, when you're color splashing, running 6 of that color is actually more of a hindrance for other things in your primary and secondary color. Meaning you really have to look really close at the card that you're splashing. You have to look at its effect and its color rec. You don't look at its, you're not going to look at its power, and you're not going to look at its AT cost. You're going to look at its effect and color rec. And if the color rec is 3 or less, for each of the colors that it has, I'm going to say this in terms of multicolors as well. For each of the colors that it has, keep in mind, one of those colors is mandatory. Mandatory needs to be your primary color if it's multicolor. The other color can be an opposite color if you're color splashing it. It is allowed to be any other color as long as it has your primary color as a multicolored card. That's for multicolors. Otherwise, it must have a 3-color rack requirement or less, and you must run a 1AT color fixer for that card and that card alone. So what do I use when color fixing? Well, my formula, it depends on what I'm color fixing for. Generally, I will run 3 Singing Barrel versus motivational speech when I am splashing a color. Why do I just run Singing Barrel and I don't run motivational speech? It's because Singing Barrel has an interesting ability. You can play this card for 1AT. Color fix your main into, let's say, purple because it doesn't have purple. You then can exhaust this card. And it says exhaust this card and put it into the owner's hand to put one of your ponytone friends into its owner's hand. That ponytone part doesn't need to be there. You don't have to have a ponytone in play. But Singing Barrel on its own can return itself to its hand. And when you do that, you can play it again for 1AT and declare. So you've already declared purple, and then you can declare orange. Well, now your main character has 3 colors for 2AT, which means you can play just about anything. And that actually, if you're running a white main or a generosity main, you could play your Princess Luna, as long as you have the 5AT to play that. So when you're splashing, your requirements are definitely going to be a 1AT color fixer and a I like that picture, but a 1AT color fixer and a the card that you want to splash must have a 3-color rec requirement or less, and if it's multicolor, it must contain your primary color. The 3 golden rules to color splashing, patented and copyrighted by Drata Arcana. And I guarantee you that utilizing those rules, you will go from this to this. And you will be partying all night. Yeah, it's a party. It's a party. Yeah. I swear, Luna is the best dancer. Luna is just the best dancer, and you will be partying all night because you'll be having so much fun color splashing. That's why I like to do it, is because it's actually really fun to see what happens when you color splash into a card. And you're going to have more fun with the game, and that's the important thing. Fun. Where's the fun? Someone say fun. Fun. And you're going to have fun with it. And I encourage everyone to think about color splashing whenever building your deck. If it doesn't end up working, it doesn't end up working. But it is worthwhile to do. And I guarantee you that E. Bugle from Commentary is Magic, he will tell you, play all the colors. All the colors. I mean, the guy literally tries to color fix into every color and to have every color on board. I swear, it's like his goal in life. It's my goal too. I like running 6-color decks. It's a lot of fun. But remember that if you're trying to play competitively, make sure that the card actually has a purpose in your deck. And if you follow the guidelines I had set forth, you will be the best color splasher ever. I swear, you will be so good at splashing colors, you're going to play like Bugle because you played all the colors. No, I don't know if you'll play like him or I will just get mad at you because all of a sudden you know my secrets to color splashing. But to properly color splash, you don't want to run more than one card of that color. Because the point behind color splashing is to get into a card that you need to assist the deck. And that's the whole point. Anyways, guys, it's getting pretty late. I've been at this for about an hour. And that's generally how these streams are going to be. They're going to be about an hour long, you guys listening to my boring lecture. We don't like you, Drada. You're boring and sad, and you cry too much. I swear. And you hug your plushies. I'm hugging my plushie. I have to. I have to. Anyways, guys, this is Drada Arcana, and now that we got the stream over with, I want to take a couple minutes to fill you guys in with some updates that I should have gone into in the beginning. Once again, I will be at TrackCon, BronyCon, Gen Con, and Ponyville Cider Fest. Also, starting next week, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I listed in the Skype group. I'll try to post it up on the Reddit as well. I'm looking for people to play over Skype to test competitive decks. I will be playing my competitive decks, my top tier decks, the decks that I'm going to be using at BronyCon, TrotCon. I'm trying to figure out which deck to run, and I'm running out of people to play. And my group really can't meet up at the moment. There's something where we're all trying to save money for these cons. And so we're not really able to meet up because of scheduling and stuff. So I'm looking for people to play. And starting this coming Friday, between the hours of 7 and 10 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, Friday, I will be available on Skype to play against. Bring your competitive decks. Start getting ready for BronyCon. Start getting ready for Gen Con or TrotCon. Whatever con you want to go to. I will be there. You will get a first-hand look at the guy that won Winnie City. You'll get to see his decks, which is me, Drada. Ding ding. Swear, no humility in this room. I will be running my competitive decks. I'm looking to test them. I'm trying to figure out which deck to run. Please join me Friday from 7 to 10. I will also be on Saturday between the times of 2 to 9, I think is what I listed. Anyways, I'm going to say it now. From 2 to 9, I will be available on Saturday from 2 to 9 EST for same reason, competitive deck testing and getting a chance to play my competitive decks. I will be on Skype. Please bring your decks IRL. I will not stress this enough. I can't use, not saying the words. I'm glad I caught myself. I can only play IRL. Just a straight fact. But please join me. I don't mind what you use. It's just I will be playing my decks IRL. Sunday, from the times of 2 to 5, because 5 p.m. is when I start preparing for my streams, from 2 to 5, I will also be on Sunday playing my competitive decks. Please join me. I will be available then to test competitive decks. Please know that I will not be using fun decks during that time. So if you don't want to play against a top tier deck, I'm sorry. That's all I'm running during those times. And this will be every week until TrotCon. Once TrotCon releases, once I go to TrotCon on Sunday the 22nd, the Saturday before, starting at 10 a.m. EST to 8 from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. EST. I am doing nothing but playing competitive decks. Those will be the last moments for me to fine-tune anything. Please join me on Skype, friend me on Facebook, message me, anywhere. On Reddit even. I'm on Reddit. Message me. I will be putting a post out there asking people on Reddit if they want to participate in these deck tests and stuff. It's not really a tournament. It's to get people prepared for competitive play. It's casual, but it is for testing competitive decks for those cons. So this is something new I'm doing. It's for me personally, but if you want to test your own competitive decks, that's a good time to do it. The Reddit post should go up in the next couple days, so look for it. Once again, guys, this is Drata Arcana at Gaming is Magic. And once again, I'm doing these streams alone. Please join me for them. If you're looking to find this stuff on YouTube, go to Drata Arcana. Look for Drata Arcana on YouTube, and you will find my YouTube channel. And as always, guys, as always, every pony, enjoy the colorful cupcakes and sprinkles and splash all of the colors, because we like 6-color decks. They're fun and exciting, and everyone's a changeling. So remember to stay colorful and make plenty of splashes. Anyways, guys, this is Drata Arcana at Gaming is Magic, and I wish you all a good night. Stay tuned for Commentary is Magic. Will be starting here in an hour with their patron stream. So anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. And take care and be cool. And don't worship my pitiful OC. He's my OC. Yes, actually I should probably say this now. This is literally my OC, guys. It is an alicorn. Don't hate me for it. But anyways, guys, yeah, I'm out of here. Drata Arcana, signing off. Take care, everyone.